Hello, peeps. This is the Hillbilly Halfwit, and thank you all for tuning in to today's episode. And what we're talking about today is the reason that I went bonkers the other day and swore on a video is because of the millions that Drakeford has spaffed away with his little minions. And we've got it in detail here today. We've got all the amounts in detail, all the wages of the people in the Senate, all the little jolly trips where they've been spending thousands and thousands and millions on everything. So let's get going. The content in this video is intended for comedic purposes only. The views expressed in this video are not to be taken as factual information or a representation of my personal beliefs. I'm critically reviewing the info and videos I show as examples. Here he is matey boy. Look, I peeing down the bottom there. Welcome to Wales. If you need me, I will be down my allotment. What an arse and a bleeder of money off the state. Little man is back there again. It really gets me mad that he's getting his full pension and he's back here again. And this is from his government again. The one stuff I'm talking about now was from his time. I got to say, I think he has really destroyed Wales. And to think that Rodri Morgan went before him and is such a nice man, well, not before him, but earlier on, and he really looked after Wales, and this bloke has just turned it into a communist state. Makes me fuming mad. Right. Before I go any further, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that is commenting and saying that they're showing and sharing these videos to everybody. And I'd just like to say somebody said yesterday they show it to their relatives. Hello to everybody. Hello to everybody that is reading this, that somebody's shared it to. I genuinely appreciate it. I spend quite a lot of time getting all these figures out, and they're 100% right, so don't think they are wrong. They are 100% right. So if you don't mind clicking that subscribe button and sharing and liking, it helps my channel out, because the other day when I shared that little video, sending you over to that video over to Dan Wotton, they dropped me off like a stone, and I went down to hundreds of views from one video was 80,000. So that's how it all works, peeps. We need to share this stuff, get it out there. Right, smash that subscribe button. Now, this is what happened here. Staff spent 1.49 million in 1 year, with a fancy meal accounted for almost £16,000 of it. Welsh Government staff splashed out thousands on meals in New York and around the world. All being paid for by us. And I just want to add this before I go any further. The cankers are after me now. I just had a letter yesterday morning from my council tax wanting 1,500 quid threatening letter. And they're spaffing this away. So this is why it gets me mad, because they're spaffing it away while they're after hard-working people to get their money there. And it really applies to me, because I got Jack. Now, here we are. This breaks down it. And as I go through this, I'll show you in detail how the figures break down. There was almost 375,000 spent on travel and subsistence at places across the world, with another 261,000 of charges for travel, claims labelled accommodation and travel, added another 11,969. Catering spent was 38,246. More than 4,273 was spent on car hire. Corporate hospitality claims at venues across the world totaled more than £6,000. Exhibitions and events costs were 128,564. More than 35,000 was spent on claims labelled health and safety. Hospitality claims were more than 23,000. There was almost 42,000 in low value ICT claims, whatever that is. More than 4,000 was spent on postage and almost 3,000 on printing. There was 17,833 on professional membership fees and 25,000 in publications, as well as 20,000 in seminar conferences and workshops. Stationery bills were more than 25,000, and there was more than 56,000 in subscription fees for platforms like Apple, news websites, Zoom, software programs. There was 3,500 spent on uniforms and 34,000 on vehicle maintenance. Welfare, which covers optician bills, totaled more than 23,000. How are they getting optician bills paid for? I've got a really severe eyesight problem and I've got to buy my own glasses. I can't claim anything. I know this sounds bizarre. I'm basically going blind and I've got to pay for my own spunking glasses. That gets me mad. Now, overseas travel by ministers in 22-23. So this is what this is all about. I had this last year. So I thought I'd throw this in here. And the figures have only just come out of how much they all spent. But I wanted to show this again. Because this was 22-23 when Drakeford was in charge. Now, you have a look what Drakeford has got there. He's in the middle. Stakeholder meetings. Oslo. 2,445. Qatar World Cup, 14,715. That's what he spent there. St. David's Day reception engagements, Brussels, 3,000. Went to Paris to watch Wales and France, Eurostar, 2,200. Went to the Basque Country visit, 2,950. And they're all Vaughan Glethin. Well, he wasn't there long. The amount of money he was spending was unreal, to be fair. He went to Washington, D.C. to celebrate the USA v Wales World Cup match, 14,300. He went to Qatar World Cup, 11,166. He went with Drakeford, by the way. Trade Mission Games Developed Conference, San Francisco, 22,478. Vaughan Gethin, Los Angeles, show support for Media Cymru First mission on the West Coast, 1,460. But the biggest of all, out of all this, is Julie James. Went to Montreal COP15 Climate Conference and £24,444 she charged. What the hell? Sorry, not the biggest. We got Dawn Bowden at the top, New Zealand attendant of Women's World World Cup, 30,260. Dawn Bowden, you are the highest. You have won the prize. Now, this is all the wages of everybody from 22 to 23 in the Senate. They're all on 100,000 pretty much. Pretty much all of them. They're from 78 to 100,000. You can look at that all for yourself. And they're still spaffing and claiming for glasses and God knows what. It makes my blood boil. It really does. Especially as I'm having a job to pay my own council tax. The amount spent on Welsh Government procurement cards, including an item like food, travel and hospitality, almost doubled to 1.49 million. So it's doubled. 1.49 million in recent release figures covering April 22 to 23. During that time, Mark Drakeford was Wales's first minister. The same figure for the year before was 821,871. So he spaffed it the year before as well. The procurement cards detail the amount, a limited description and where the money was spent. There are different types of procurement cards used by the Welsh Government, some by individuals, some by department, others used for a specific supplier. There are strict rules what the cards can be used for. The costs from 22-23 are broken down into groups including building, maintenance, car hire, catering, consumables, hospitality, events, fixtures and fittings, fuel, health and safety, licenses, marketing, sport, office equipment, postage, printing, membership fees, blah-de-blah-de-blah. But this is what we want to see, didn't it? This is what we want to see. The biggest bills included a 16K restaurant bill. The most expensive item claimed for was a food bill for exclusive New York restaurant Zuzu's, which totaled £15,933. There was also £13,006 to Qatar Airways, booked the month before the World Cup, for which Wales qualified, and which Mark Drakeford and Vaughan Gethin both attended. The third highest claims were, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back, yeah? Now have a look there, look. Drakeford, Qatar World Cup, 14,716. That's that bill. And below there, Vaughan Gethin, Qatar World Cup, 11,166. So that was them two matey boys, Mark Drakeford and Vaughan Gethin. So there we are. That's nearly 30,000 they've spent on a jolly. Hey, all on our expense. There was a 6,966 bill for Japan Airlines in July 2022, and two further Japan Airline bills from September 22 of 4,946, as well as 4,590 to all Nippon Airways. Nippon Airways. Another little spavin journey. Pissing it all up the wall while they're scavenging it off us. There was 6,966 bill for Japan Airlines in July 22, and two further Japan Airline bills from September 22 of 4,946, as well as 4,598 to all Nippon Airways. There was 6,806 bill for the four-star Roxy Hotel in New York, as well as more than 6,800 on training by Live Group Co. and 4,999 bill for Inspired Minds. Described on his website as a global tech and science strategy group focused on all good 4,466 to SB Global Publications. The Canadian Rugby Unit also received 3,879 in sponsorship. So let's have a look there a minute. So Roxy Hotels in New York. Do I remember that there? No, it isn't. It's probably the same bunch. Never mind. Got to keep checking. Yeah, so let's keep going. Thousands spent on hospitality at hotels. Top of the list in terms of expenses was a 15,933 bill at Zuzu's restaurant in Manhattan, described as providing foods from some of the most notable culinary names in the city from April 2022. This one was an event to promote Wales for St. David's Day. The venue has a menu with salads for £29 upwards, whole lobster kebab for $51, and French fries for $12. More than 5,100 was spent on a swanky Soho house in West Hollywood. And we know who that was, don't we? In February 23, there was 2,895 spent on catering in the Radisson Blu Doha, with further charges in Doha at 5-star St. Regis 779 and 194 charges in May, as well as 141 at Doha Hotels residents and charge of 84 in the same place. There was spending at the Hilton in Doha, 69. This is small feed compared to what they do in behind the scenes. Irish company Noami's Kitchen had two charges for more than 2,700 each. There was 1,500 quid spent at Chez Fonfon in Marseille, more than 3,000 to the Underground Chef, and the 5-star Vanti, 1,000 was spent. There was 2,300 spent in New York pub called Donnelly's, and a bill of 1,800 in Gatto Prado in London. There was numerous claims for Tesco, Asda, Waitrose, M&S, and Welsh Parliament too. Remember, if it's under £500, they don't have to put it down. So what they're doing is they're making sure they only claim up to 500 on most of it. Travel costs also hit thousands. There are charges from cities around the world, including New York, New Jersey, Birmingham, Alabama, Tokyo, New Orleans, Barcelona, Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, Toronto. Closer to home, there are travel bills from Birmingham, Wrexham, Swansea, Aberystwyth, and Heathrow. See, they don't put them in because they'd be under 500 if they're local, but they're still getting it. The higher, and they're getting £100,000 bill wage, remember? The highest item labelled travel and substance is for 7,161 at Steakhouse Smith & Wolseley, which has venues across the US and also London, but no further details is given about what this related to. The second highest spend in the same category was more than 3,400 at the Roxy Hotel in New York City and almost 7,000 for New York City restaurant in Manhattan. There was 3,199 bill for Grand Hyatt in Mumbai, February 23, and 3,183 to Group Voyages Quebec, a travel agent in Canada. More than 3,000 was spent on Eurostar tickets in February and March 2023. Even Manchester United received thousands. There was 3,050 charged to Manchester United for what was described as consumables, and more than 3,000 for training with a speechwriting agency. In February 23, 900 were spent at Cardiff-based Lush Blooms. As flowers, obviously. 406 at the Covent Garden Flower Shop. Also in Cardiff, as well as 109 in the Munich Florist. There's 511 bill for wristbands. There was 281 spent on printing site Vista Print. This is small fry stuff, but are they claiming for this stuff? There are a number of charges of various opticians. It's maddening. Like I said, I am a registered, what's the word? Registered blind I am, actually, because my eyesight is so bad. There's a number of changes, and I still have to pay for my own glasses, including Specsavers, Vision Plus, Boots, as well as independent opticians. There was a £33 charge for tea bags from the Welsh Brew Company. They even, oh God almighty, £16.99 from Party Britain with £20 spent on Lover Duck designs. There was also 241 charge for the Celtic flag services. The Welsh Government said the comparison between the years compared a COVID pandemic era with a year where there were no restrictions and large amounts of fuel costs are said to fund fishery vessels. Bullshit. The spokesman said procurement cards reduce administration costs and are used by government departments across the UK. The latest figures reflect a return to pre-pandemic levels of travel and promotional activity. Ooh, spaffing it, aren't they? They're spaffing it. There was 6,966 bill for Japan Airlines in July 22. Two further Japan airline bills from September 22 of 4,946, as well as 4,598 to all Nippon Airways. There was 6,800 bill from 4-star Roxy Hotel in New York, as well as 6,800 on training by livegroup.co.uk, and 4,999 bill for Inspired Minds, described on its website as a global tech and science strategy group focused, and 4,466 on S&P Global Publications. The Canadian Rugby Union also received 3,879 in sponsorship, the figures show. Well, that's all the newer stuff, but I just wanted to add this on as well while I'm at it. This was for last year when Drakeford was in government too. Welsh ministers rack up 2,708,000 miles in chauffeur-driven cars in just 2 years. Remember, they've got these electric bikes that they were going to be using. In a written question to the former First Minister Mark Drakeford, Mrs. Finch Saunders asked for the total number of miles that ministerial cars have undertaken in the last 2 years. Mr. Drakeford said the total mileage undertaken by the Welsh Government official car service since 22 to 23 was 2,780,969 miles. That mileage is enough to travel around the Earth's equator not once but 11 times. More than 2,000 journeys from the bottom to the top of Wales. A Welsh Government spokesman said ministers always seek to take alternative means of transport where possible. No, they don't. They like it. Welsh ministers have been accused of hypocrisy after racking up enough mileage through the government's car scheme in just 2 years to circumnavigate the globe 11 times. Janet Finch Saunders, a Welsh Conservative shadow transport minister, said the government should be leading by example as they encourage the public to join the green revolution. I totally agree. They should be spending money on this themselves. This revelation undermines Labour's green credentials as their hypocrisy is plain to see. It is beyond belief that Labour's ministers are preaching to the public to ditch private cars and take public transport, while at the same time living the life of luxury being ferried around in chauffeur-driven, grass-guzzling cars. They should be leading by example, especially as they are constantly banging the drum about people joining the green revolution. Shadow Transport Minister Natasha Askar MS said once again there appears to be one rule for the public and a different rule for Labour ministers. She also accused Welsh Labour of a war on motorists while racking up the mileage in their ministerial chauffeur-driven cars. Mark Drakeford's ministers racked up more than 278,000 miles in 2 years. A spokesman for the Welsh Government said, while ministers will always seek to take alternative means of transport where possible, it is sometimes necessary to travel by car to attend official government engagement. Well, no, Sherlock. How do you think we have to manage? Well, you're taking away all our transport. To get from Landrin did, in my area, we wanted to go bowling about a month ago. And we decided, we might go by train or bus. It was by bus. That journey to Hereford and back was 6 hours. 6 spunking hours. And by train, it was the same distance. And you can do it in 2 in a car. That's how daft it is in Wales. The decarbonisation of the car fleet is ongoing, balanced by the need to avoid excessive cost to the taxpayer. They don't give a chuff. 7 diesel cars have been replaced with all electric cars and 4 hybrid vehicles. A further 3 hybrid vehicles are in order to replace diesel vehicles. Well, that's a video, guys. I'm sorry it's a bit long. This one does get me mad because I have trouble paying my own council tax. I know a lot of people don't believe it, but I haven't had any dosh since March earlier in the year. So it's hard going on me at the moment, and I know how hard it is for people in real life. That's why I talk openly about all this, because real people understand how tight it is. These fuckers don't, because they're privileged, spaffing money away like the communists did of old. They get all the perks while everybody else gets nothing. So thank you very much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and share, because it really helps me out. All the best, Gaz.